I open the YouTube live subscription and broadcasting now. In 5 seconds, it will be okay.
Dr. Ali.
Nefise, please check it.
Welcome, Professor Yaşar Selçuk Şener from Ankara Hacı Bayram University. Our dear member.
YouTube is working.
Okay, thank you. I'm recording now. About 4 minutes left for the exact time of the session. I'll give some information about our IVCoM web page. I'm sharing now, you see, I think. This is ICOM 2021 web page. At the same time, we have the data and all the material from the previous one, 2020. You see our web page. This is in decoration ceremonies part, you see. And this was designed by our technical group. Thank you so much, Saadet Güner from Kümit, Izahan, and Akhtar Javed from the ICOM Pakistan. We have the web coordination. At the same time, web designers and webmasters, Cemile, Yıldırım Altun, and Nefise Günaydın. Thank you so much. And the assistant web designer is Deniz Serbest. And thank you so much for the design of these very good website. You see the website, this is our banner, and at the right of the banner, you see the ICOM 2021 and ICOM 2020. At the same time, you can reach our ICOM Pakistan YouTube and Zoom registration. You can use all the button, it's active. For example, on the top of the web page, you see the home page. This is home. ICOM, you can see the aim of the ICOM. If you put this ICOM button, and the videos, all the videos of the sessions publicly published here. This is the 2020, and at the bottom you see the 1, 2, and the first, second, and the third days of the meetings of the ICOM 2021. You see the gallery at the top of the web page. If you put the gallery, you can see all the pictures about the sessions, previous third sessions, and the second and the first day. You see all the pictures in the gallery. Our partners, you see the partners part and our contact part. I'm coming back again the home. I want to show the ICOM 2021. If you put the 21, you can see the posters, all the sessions, part 1, session 1, 2, 3, 4, and all the countries and all the details you can put. If you put the program, you can see the program. You can see the poster of all the sessions. We are waiting the next part 2. It's already ready for the next or future conferences. I'm coming back again the web page home. You see the another buttons, Kümit Foku button and ICOM Pakistan. I am put the ICOM Pakistan. Izah will say about the web page and their studies about the conference. This is ICOM Pakistan web page. It's your chair, Izah, you can say.
I believe everybody knows about ICOM, so I don't have to explain it in detail. I have my seniors like Terry and Dr. Gala sitting there who can explain in detail about ICOM. But ICOM Pakistan, it's a national committee just like all other committees, and we have a role to bridge gap between our national museum professionals with the international community of museum professionals through the network of ICOM International. The website is there. We have very less activities being shown on the website at the moment, but in few days time, you will be seeing more activities activities and for the International Virtual Council on Conference on Museums. The link has been established on the main ICOM Pakistan webpage, and you can see all our activities through that link as well. That's all from my side.
Thank you so much. The chair is yours. Thank you so much. I'm the silent man up to now.
So I believe the time is here now. We can admit all the pending participants. And let me formally welcome you all at the last and concluding session of Group 1 of Part 1 IVCoM. Let me phrase few sentences before we proceed formally. Within the framework of privacy and protection of personal data, under the international law, ICOM statutes, and the general aspects of Turkish data protection law numbers 6698 KVKK. Let me read our disclaimers. Dear speakers, participants, and audiences, the video of this conference session will be recorded and then published on the YouTube channel, websites, and social media accounts of ICOM Pakistan, QMID Turkey, and or anywhere deemed necessary for the promotion of conference proceedings. We accept that you allow this publication by joining this virtual meeting. If you do not want your image to be included in the video, you can just listen to us by turning your camera and microphone off. Thank you. With this note, on behalf of ICOM Pakistan and Center for Culture and Development, both are co-hosts for Pakistan session today. Let me invite Professor Amar Sawar Gala, Professor Dr. Amar Sawar Gala for his keynote speech. And let me introduce him first. Though his introduction was, his bio was very lengthy, I can't sum it up right now, but the few highlights of his achievements are as following. Professor Gala is a professor and UNESCO Chair on Inclusive Museums and Sustainable Heritage Development, an alumnus of the Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi, with PhD from Australian National University, Canberra. Dr. Gala is currently Professor of Inclusive Cultural Leadership and Founding Director of the International Center for Inclusive Cultural Leadership and Dean of Faculty Development and Leadership, Anant National University, Ahmedabad, India. He is the founding executive director of the International Institute for the Inclusive Museum, Australia, India, and USA. Until recently, he was a visiting professor at the School of Planning and Architecture, Vijayawada at National.
That's
Sorry?
okay. That's enough. That's enough. Yeah, most people, I know most of the people online, and they know me. So
yeah. But just for the record, for those who don't know you, and they'll be watching our YouTube videos. So he's School of Planning and Architecture at National Institute of Importance, Ministry of Human Resource Development, India. He lived and worked as the chief curator in Amarvathi Heritage Town and its Amarvathi Heritage Center and Museum. He was the editor and producer of the flagship project and publication to celebrate the 40th anniversary of the 1972 World Heritage Convention launched in Kyoto, Japan. Thank you, Dr. Gala, for joining in. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Isa. Much appreciated. You're very generous. And thanks to ICOM Pakistan, your cultural center, and all the national committees. And I see some of my Turkish colleagues, Sri Lankan colleagues, several from different countries. It's just amazing. And of course, Terry, all the way from Zambia. And I just want to say one thing. What you're doing with 36 countries, the kind of network you're establishing, is something we tried before. It didn't work. I can tell you, I was the president of ICOM Asia Pacific and also the vice president of ICOM. When we found the notion of Asia Pacific is a post-World War II European idea, all these nearly 60% of the world's population being lumped together as Asia Pacific. And it very much defined in that Orientalist discourse of us and them kind of thing from a European point of view. So I developed a discussion paper for ICOM to rethink some of these, post-World War II, considerations. Of course, UNESCO uses them for practical reasons, and it's an intergovernmental bureaucracy. That's the way they do it. But there's nothing stopping ICOM, a professional body, like you've all done, 36 countries coming together, establishing this kind of new, amazing, dynamic network. But it's just, I'm so proud of your generation, Isabel. The responsibility lies in the shoulders of young people like you and so many others who are listening. This is wonderful. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
And,
But
the first thing that came,
COVID-19 as well.
yeah, but the thing is that you got to remember, if you take something like some of the listed intangible heritage elements under the 2003 convention, Nowruz. Nowruz connects Turkey all the way, all the countries to Pakistan, Sri Lanka, India, Bangladesh, all these countries. So our cultures, our heritage, we have to think of as being, living. And I think our contemporary culture delineates, defines what our heritage is, because we always look at the past through the present. So congratulations again for a fantastic network that you established. And in fact, I was supposed to be in Pakistan this year, last year, and the year before. It hasn't happened, but hopefully next year, I'm going to come to Pakistan. It's been a dream of mine for a very long time. Of course, those of you, my Turkish friends, I've been to Turkey, gosh, I don't know how many times, at least 40 times. I love that country, along with all the other countries that are here. And in fact, with the European City of Culture in 2010, Istanbul, I chaired and organized, with the help of Para Museum and the Koç Foundation, the Inclusive Museum Conference in Istanbul, one of my favorite cities, by the way. And but I'm an Australian, and I'm right now in India because I'm doing quite a bit of research on the history and evolution of Buddhism, not so much from a sculptural point of view, not so much purely from an archaeological point of view, but from a socioeconomic point of view. So coming back to today's topic, Gandhara. So is Gandhara delineated, defined by sculptures? And a lot of these sculptures are internationally different museums. Some of them questionable the way they've been acquired. And so whose aesthetic is it? I'm only going to raise certain questions. I think the pandemic has given us an opportunity to sit back, reflect, rethink the legacies of colonialism, and think of our own, indigenous notions of what cultural heritage is. I mean, of course, we need to have the best of the world and best of our own, local context. But Gandhara, understood mainly from a sculptural point of view, from a hegemonic Western aesthetic, is something that we need to question. For me, Gandhara is a region. It's a region of Pakistan, extending into Eastern Afghanistan. And during the time of, the evolution of Gandhara's local cultural systems, there was no Afghanistan, no Pakistan, no India. All these colonial boundaries weren't there. It was one huge cultural region. So what kind of socioeconomic conditions, prevail that actually enable the kind of interactions? Whether you're talking about, 3rd century BC, and Ashoka time, or whether you're talking about the Kushanas, it doesn't matter. From the 3rd century to 7th century AD, what kind of socioeconomic conditions enabled, the kind of sculptural artistic excellence of the people, in Gandhara, the present day Pakistan and Eastern Afghanistan. I think that's the first thing we need to really ask the question is, who are the people, who are the sculptors, who are the people who received at this intercultural exchange point, different cultural traditions, and used their own creative genius to produce the Gandhara sculptures. Second thing is the aesthetic needs to be decoded from the colonial perception into something very local. What does it mean? What does it mean? I'll give you an example. I mean, Gandhara sculptures in Buddhism, Mathura and Amaravati are the three famous schools of Buddhist art. And I lived and worked for 5 years in Amaravati. What you find is when you go to the villages and you start mapping the skills, you find there's still sculptors in stone, who have the skills. It's just that they've lost their livelihoods and they've been marginalized. Their intangible heritage is still there. It's a question of revitalizing some of these skills that's really important. So we need to rethink what exactly do we mean. So that's my second point. My third point is, I don't know if you heard about Operation Pandora with Interpol. During the COVID lockdown, people have lost jobs and there's been cutbacks in museums. It affected security of not only museums, but also archaeological sites. And so what's happened is illicit traffic in cultural property through antique dealers has gone up. So there's 70 countries involved in this Operation Pandora through Interpol. So we need to think that it's not only in the past that the beautiful Gandhara sculptures and the various associated cultural material goods have been stolen or removed to museums internationally, but it's happening now. How do we stop it? I think ICOM, together with UNESCO, has a very important role to play. In fact, I chaired a committee for 6 years when I was the vice president of ICOM and then president of Asia Pacific. And we conducted a systematic capacity building together with Interpol and UNESCO in 49 countries of the Asia Pacific region. It's capacity to minimize illicit traffic in cultural property. How do we minimize? So that's my third point. My fourth thing is, how can we bring together, how can we actually use the digital affordances that we've all got to use right now? How can we use the digital affordances to actually systematically map all the collections from the Gandhara region? I don't just mean, the Bodhisattva and the Buddhist sculptures, but the material culture of the Gandhara region is very rich. I mean, it predates, it goes back to, more than 3,000 to 4,000 years ago. I mean, the region is part of the great Indus civilization. So the context in which, Gandhara has evolved as a cultural region, what is the material culture? What are the items? What are the kind of so-called Mother Goddess figurines that are there in Western museums from the Gandhara region? So we need to systematically map all the material culture collections, not only Pakistan, Afghanistan, but all the countries of the world where these objects and this material culture comes from Pakistan. And lastly, Gandhara should not be seen as a thing of past. First Nations in Canada always say conservation should never be seen as if it were. Conservation is very much a present day activity. We are dealing with safeguarding intangible heritage. So no culture is frozen in time, nor is the culture, nor are the cultural systems or the people who live in these amazing ancient cultural landscapes frozen in time. So how do we document, the intangible heritage in all its diversity of the Gandhara region, across, Pakistan, but also into Afghanistan? How do we do this? And having done that, what is the role of museums as sites for safeguarding intangible heritage? It's a really critical issue. So I'll leave you, because I think I've finished my 10 minutes. I'll leave you with those 5 questions and I think 5 pointers, because you've established the network. Now, all I'm saying is that you got an amazing network. Now, can we all work together? I'm happy to be with you. My UNESCO chair position is for the whole Asia Pacific, if you will. That means I'm part of your team as well. And As far as Turkey is concerned, I've always been, on the Anatolian side. I hope my Turkish colleagues, they know what I'm saying. And in fact, I still remember in 2010, there was a very important meeting, and this is something for the network to remember. This meeting was the National Museum of Turkish and Islamic Art in Istanbul. It's a phenomenal museum, fantastic museum. So somebody, I don't want to mention the name, who actually has no experience in working in museums, tried to influence the authorities in Ankara that it should be split into ethnographic museum and art museum. So I was asked for my opinion. And so I wanted to look at the recommendation. The recommendation said, in Europe, this would be Anatolian culture would be in an ethnographic museum. Hello, we were not talking about Europe, are we? We were talking about Turkey, a free, sovereign, independent country. So I said, no, I think it's fantastic. I think this whole thing of art and material culture binary is a colonial binary. So like you take Canada, for instance, for a long time, First Nations, indigenous art was mainly collected in the Canadian Museum of Civilization, what is now called Canadian Museum of History. It's only in the last 10 years that the National Gallery in Ottawa actually has given prominence to First Nations art. Why? Because of that legacy of, colonial legacy of art and material culture. And I say Turkey has a fantastic museum that addresses art and material culture in a holistic way. And please keep it, because this could become a model for the rest of the world. And I still remember that. And I think that we need to think post-colonial. We need to think, through this network, how do we rethink, whether it's defining the museum or the concepts that we promote through the museums, and the role of museums in safeguarding intangible heritage, our own local cultural systems and values, and how do we further this? And I think it's a very long journey, Isa, that ICOM Pakistan and all the other ICOM committees, ICOM Turkey and others have started. What an honor and pleasure to address you all. It's been a privilege, and thank you very much once again, all of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gala. I believe you have nailed it. Your 5 questions are 5 guidelines for us on which we can work and explore. Center for Culture and Development is working on similar lines, and we would love to collaborate with you and to seek your guidance and advice in that regard as well.
It's done. We're working together. It's done.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining in. It's an honor to have you here. Thank you so much. With this note, let me introduce Dr. Nadeem Umar Tarar here, who is representing Center for Culture and Development, basically the co-host of this session. Dr. Nadeem Umar Tarar has a postdoctorate from MIT, USA, PhD in Art History and Theory from University of New South Wales, Australia, and Masters in Critical Theory and Cultural Studies from University of Nottingham, UK, and MSc in Social Anthropology from Quaid-e-Azam University, Islamabad. He is an anthropologist and heritage expert who has extensive experience in education, research, documentation, and training. Dr. Tarar has documented and surveyed experience, including working with National College of Arts. Currently, Dr. Tarar serves as the advisor, as the executive director to Center for Culture and Development, an Islamabad-based research and policy center, and vice president of Council of Social Sciences, Pakistan. Dr. Tarar is fellow of Royal Asiatic Society of Great Britain and Ireland and Royal Anthropological Institute, UK, as well as member of ICOM. Dr. Tarar is a prolific writer and a public speaker. Besides books and chapters, he has published in numerous international academic journals on the history and anthropology of colonial education, cultural history, and tangible and intangible heritage of Pakistan. He has read papers in numerous national and international conferences and seminars. He is an op-ed writer for leading English dailies and a frequent commentator on television and radio on social, cultural, human, and animal rights issues. Let me welcome Dr. Tarar. Thank you for joining in, and thank you for hosting us from C2D. The floor is yours now.
Thank you, Iza Khan, for giving us the opportunity to be part of this very interesting conversation going on in the ICOM quarters. Though I'm a member of ICOM, but still I live at the margins of this museum sort of a debate. But I'm very much interested in it, and honestly, I mean, what Professor Gala has said really prompted me to respond. But really, I would like to stick to my presentation, given the economy of time. But surely, we would definitely follow up on these leads. Now, as you would understand, the topic of my presentation is, in fact, the very heart of what this conversation is all about. It is about sorry, let me bring my presentation to the fore, and then I will get back to what I'm saying. Right. You all can see my presentation? Is it so? Right. Now,
yes, please make it full screen.
Sorry?
Make it full screen, please.
How do I make it full screen?
It's fine.
All right, let me not struggle with it and waste more time. Right. So, Center for Culture and Development, I'll give you a brief intro of our organization in the middle of this presentation. But let me start with saying that we are really motivated by this very ambitious idea to generate cultural diplomacy for Pakistan on the strength of its cultural heritage, and that's specifically the Gandhara heritage. Now, I'm sure I'm talking to experts, so I will be brief. I mean, this presentation will be there for all the viewers to look at later. But I just want to tell you, as Professor Gala was saying, that ancient Gandhara, the kingdom of Gandhara, inhabits the land that constitute today's Pakistan. And there are historic cities like Peshawar and Charsada and Texila, which are still living cities. I mean, Peshawar is a living city, probably one of the oldest in Asia or something. So there are, structures of continuities that we really need to build on. And we understand that, and I will explain why, land of Gandhara became the heartland of Buddhism, though Buddha never came here. Now, one of the sources for the Buddhist community in the world about Gandhara are the Jataka tales. Now, Jataka tales, as you know, are the moral stories of the past lives of Buddha as Bodhisattva. So, these tales are, there are loads of tales around Gandhara, and I could find these two, which is number 96 and number 406. One is called Telipatha Jataka, and the second is Gandhara Jataka. They are very interesting stories, and I really would love to tell those stories. So what we are saying is that, there is a lived cultural legacy of this ancient land that still lives on in various places, not only in Pakistan, but also in Sri Lanka, in Nepal, in Tibet, in China, in Korea, in Bangladesh, and so on. And so what we are saying is it is like a global heritage for which, Pakistan serves as a center of gravity, if you like. And you would also know that Buddhism spread through the entire Central Asia and Far East because of the Silk Road. So there is a huge overlap of Silk Road and the renaissance of the ancient Gandhara kingdom. And given the CPEC on Pakistan's horizon and China's sort of, cultural and military might. So I think this is a good sort of a lead to build on in terms of our regional understanding of how the world is taking shape. So it has always been a hub of religious syncretism and cross-cultural fermentation. Now look at these dynasties from Achaemenians down to Hindu Shaya. Most of these dynasties were big-time supporter, and one of the biggest ones were these Ashoka and Kanishka. And you would know that Kanishka is the one who sent his own sort of daughter-in-law and his own sort of kith and kin to Sri Lanka and to spread Buddhism there and also elsewhere in the world. So he likewise Menander, this Indo-Greek ruler, was a great patron, and so was Kanishka. So Kanishka to me is Kanishka is to Gandhara what Ashoka is to Buddhism in India. Kanishka has been so central to Gandhara, and sadly, we don't know much about him. So luckily, these are the numismatic evidence has given us a lot of information, which goes beyond the Jatka tales and which is hardcore archaeological information, if you like. Now, these are like 5 reasons, if you like, that I have, we'll spend some time explaining why, Gandhara is the heartland of Buddhism. Why? I have in fact devoted 1 slide each to explain what I'm saying. So, but very quickly, this oldest university, the founding scripture, the sites of transmission, the site of Buddhist teacher, and not to forget those anthropomorphic representation of Buddha, which were really the hallmark of Gandhara, for which the Gandhara is known in the Western world as a museumized sort of object of history. So because of the Gandhara sculpture. Now Gandhara is this, this Takshila University is something that really never fails to inspire my imagination, to be honest. It predated Buddhism, and it postdated Buddhism, so to say, and it remained a very sort of a diverse field of knowledge, not just Buddhism, but philosophy, surgery, politics, and there's a whole lot around it that we need to the economic value of the Gandhara culture is, I think, yet to be established. It's more like more like a museumized relic of an ancient history that we tend to celebrate and tend to talk about, rather than Gandhara culture as a more like an academic force, as a living force. I mean, when I read these teachers, when I read a book by Parini, it just kind of throws you completely off the ground. These guys were talking about these, ideas about language and linguistic like 3,000 years ago, 4,000 years ago, and we don't know about them. Read Kotliya Chankya. I mean, I kind of beg every Pakistani, if you really want to connect to the roots, read these guys. Don't think they're Hindu, Muslim. That is a kind of very pointless contemporary debate about cultural identities. We need to broaden our historic identity. Chankya, when you read Chankya's Shastra, it is just an extraordinary account of information. I mean, if I were to recommend a book to anybody, I see just pick up this and just don't read anything else. I mean, it's just such an amazing source of history and so much more. Now, founding scriptures of Gandharan Buddhism actually were written here in Gandharan Prakrit language. And that is the intellectual and the, if you like, the religious significance of the Gandhara. Because your Buddhist, for the Buddhists, their very sacred texts were written here. So they were the authors here, And as I said, it is the gateway to Buddhism, and it really transmitted Buddhism to the entire world. It became like a, like a medium through which the entire Buddhist sort of, ideologies were exported. Now, how many in Pakistan? And I'm generally, when I started working on Gandhara, it wasn't like a voyage of discovery. It was like a unveiling of my own ignorance. You know what I'm saying? So I began to admit how little I knew. I'm just scraping the surface, and there are experts on this panel like Zubaida and Dr. Abdul Hamid. So these guys would give you more sort of solid, hardcore information about what this cultural asset is all about. I can only just give you, kind of clues or give you a certain direction. I mean, there are a whole lot of people who are, mashallah, in Pakistan working around it. Now, think about all these guys, who are being unknown. I mean, the irony for for Pakistanis vis-a-vis Gandhara heritage is, okay, we know very little about our heritage, and there are people elsewhere in the world who are like making those discoveries for us. So these names which are here, I can hardly pronounce them, but they are the known names in countries elsewhere in the world. So what we're saying is, and not to forget the immense role of these Chinese, this pilgrimage, Chinese and Korean, who actually provided the flashlight on that blind spot of our history before archaeology began to make all those discoveries. And one of the earlier archaeologists used those texts to actually find those sites in Gandhara, right? Now, again, another very important significance of Gandhara is Sambhava. This guy from, Sawabi Chota Lahore is a phenomenal figure. And, if Pakistan needs an icon or a Gandhara needs a cultural historical icon, Padam Sambhava is an obvious choice. Now, finally, as I said, before the Kushans, really the Gandhara sculpture really kicked off. It really became like a widespread cultural practice of making static objects. So, and we all continue to debate, art historians continue to debate whether it had the Hellenic influence or it's a homegrown and all of that. But having said that, I think this legacy needs to be understood and celebrated. And as we know, the earlier anachronic, the art form were used symbols for Buddhism rather than his, as his human sort of anthropomorphic representation. Now, I will just get to the very, very quickly. I'm running out of time. Now, what we are doing as a Center for Culture and Development, we think that 97% of the world Buddhist population lives in Asia, and we need to connect together. So all the countries of the Asia, the South Asia, have this common bond. Despite their differences in language and other cultural elements, what they have is this historical bond of Gandhara. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Now, all right, thank you. Let me just quickly finish in next 2 minutes. I've already consumed 10 minutes of your precious time. Now, as you know, Center for Culture and Development is, has this...
15 minutes.
Sorry?
I said you have 15 minutes in total, so don't worry. You can consume
all right, so
5 more.
I can, thank you very much, 5 more. All right. Now, with all of that in the background, that is what sort of have animated our thoughts that we need to create a synergy between our cultural capital and our development intervention. That has been my long-standing view or the critique of development as an anthropologist, that they are somehow at loggerhead with each other. So how to actually bring them in sync? That is the challenge that I think our anthropologically informed interventions are trying to, build. So these are some tiers of our engagement that we have been engaged in order for what? In order to actually raise the awareness and understanding about the significance of Gandhara heritage for the Pakistan as well as for the world. Because if we understand, we are not Buddhists, we are Pakistani Muslims. But if we understand, a significant part of our cultural history, which is Buddhism, then I think this provides a very fertile ground for cultural diplomacy. With the countries which profess Buddhism. So I think we need in our search, if I understand it correctly, in our search for the common ground in the world today, this historical legacy of Buddhism is something that Pakistan need to build on. And that is our kind of sole occupation now. Now, what we are doing is, let me take you one by one. This digital documentation of Gandhara, I think we are trying to create a database of high resolution images of these panoramic landscapes of Buddhist sites in Pakistan. Number two, I think this is very important to understand. And if I had more time, I would have shown you this amazing digital reconstruction of Mohra Muradu, which has been done in collaboration with the University of Comsets in Islamabad. And these students have done extraordinary work in recreating the entire Buddhist heritage. I mean, the first step in recreating this entire Buddhist heritage of Pakistan, and that is something we would welcome support and collaboration. Public lectures on Gandhara, we take every opportunity to hold. I mean, this was like a scholar from Sri Lanka, a Buddhist monk and a scholar from Sri Lanka, this Professor Satoshi Naike from Kyoto University, Japan. We try to invite and sort of engage, and that is before the COVID got him. So that's a pre-COVID images. So what we are saying is that we are trying to create, linkages with international institutions as well. Now, so Visak prayer ceremony in Gandhara, that was something, as you all understand, Visak is the day, it's like Buddha's birthday, is one of the UN recognized days. So we thought, why not to celebrate it? And it created impetus. I mean, there are these two ceremonies which have been put together in one slide. I mean, we had that support of the Minister of Tourism, Zulfi Bukhari, who's right here. So I think with the help of lots of our supporters and friends who volunteered their time and energy to make these activities happen, I think we are really grateful to our partners. Now, this is another evolving front for Pakistan. This is what I call Buddhist face of Pakistan. If you could see this gentleman, he is a Pakistani Sindhi Buddhist, right? So what I really want and what we really want is to actually give them that sort of a space where they could grow and actually, fulfill their, religious obligation, be treated equally like anybody else. Formation of Gandhara Center has been milestone for all our activities. We have set up a center in Texla, and we are moving forward these activities. We hold lots of activities. We also promoting Gandhara circuit, just like Buddhist circuits, like Gandhara circuit, that will go on to Afghanistan as well. So we are also producing a number of publications, and inshallah, you will get to read them someday. Now, likewise, Gandhara Chopal, the Community Forum for Heritage Awareness. We staunchly believe that unless we bring in the community, with the support and the aid of the community, we can go a long way in creating awareness. Exhibition, I believe, is a major vehicle of cultural diplomacy. I mean, this was an exhibition by a Buddhist monk from Korea of Islamic calligraphy. This was an extraordinary moment of cultural diplomacy where, the Buddhist monk doing Islamic calligraphy. So I think this is a kind of a note that we would like to end with. And finally, I would say that in order to this age of social media, as they say, so we have created a little channel called Gandhara Times. This is the voice of Buddhism in Pakistan. So here is a link here. And if you would like to know more about our activities regarding Gandhara, so that's where you will find us. And I think this is my end statement, if you like. That is for us, like Pakistanis, that we vow to hold, these Buddhist monasteries and stupas in a functional manner. And we really would like all that Pakistani and foreign Buddhists to practice their sacred rituals in peace. So this particular, image here is our image, our understanding of that multicultural heritage, that peace-building initiative that can be forged through cultural linkages, cultural exchanges, exhibition, dialogue, discussions, activities. And I think there is no other way to bring these two worlds together. I mean, we are Muslim, and this gentleman is Buddhist. So this is the world of the future that we really aspire to live in. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Saab. Your presentation was very engaging. I've been getting messages on Messenger and WhatsApp and so on as people are watching on YouTube as well. Thank you so much for the insight and the interventions you and your center has been doing, and I'm proud to be part of your team as well. With this note, let me invite our next speaker, Dr. Sufi Mustafizur Rahman, Chairperson ICOM Bangladesh National Committee and Professor of Archaeology at Jahangir Nagar University, Bangladesh. He completed his Bachelor of History and Masters of Archaeology degree at Jahangirnagar University. He obtained his PhD from Deccan College Postgraduate and Research Institute, Pune, India. Professor Rahman completed his postdoctoral research as a Charles Walls Visiting Fellow at the Institute of Archaeology, University of London. He has participated in numerous national and international seminars and has published over 50 research articles in national and international publications. He has been working relentlessly for the archaeological exploration and excavations over 20 years. He has also established an archaeological research center, and under his leadership, many museums have been established and one is currently underway. For his work and contributions, he has been awarded with many significant national awards of excellence. Thank you so much, Sufisa, for joining in. The floor is yours now.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. First, I would like to thank you for giving me the chance to share my discoveries with you. I would like to request you to remember the scene of Bangladesh. You know, we are the first generation archaeologists in Bangladesh. So we have limitations in many ways, although we are trying our best to do some excavation, exploration, and some site management. And I am teaching in a university, although it is a public university, but the culture you practice in Pakistan and India, this system is not introduced in Bangladesh yet. I am the first person from a university who has taken initiative for excavation. First, I started with my own money, sometimes some friends' money and some organizations' money. Now the government is helping, but it is very, very limited scale. Although with the help of my few colleagues, most of them are not working, and a few students. So we have been conducting excavations in two sites in Bangladesh. One is called Wadi Bateshwar, other is called Bikrampur. The 2 days back, I presented some of my discoveries from Bikrampur, the birthplace of Otis Dipankar. So you know, Otis Dipankar, 1,000 years back, he was a great scholar in Buddhism. He visited Tibet, but his birthplace was not explored and not excavated. When we start excavation, we have found already biharas, stupas, and many, many Buddhist monuments. And one more site called Wadi Bateshwar. It is, let me go to my slide. So, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Yes, we can.
This is Wadi Bateshwar. I'm going to slide. So just let me introduce Wadi Bateshwar with few words. Now you can see the location of Wadi Bateshwar. It is around 70 kilometers away from Dhaka. Wadi Bateshwar, the most ancient and most significant archaeological site in Bangladesh during 5th century BC. It is the earliest site. The region experienced Chalcolithic culture as well. Wadi Bateshwar enjoys the status of the earliest state in Bangladesh during circa 6th century BC. You know, 6th century BC, there were Shorosho Mahajana Pada in Indian context, but this was a Janapada. I will show you the coin, Janapada coin. Wadi Bateshwar was the capital city of the state. Wadi Bateshwar was a port city on the bank of the old Brahmaputra. Wadi had commercial link with the Southeast Asia and the Mediterranean region. So I would like to show you some of our discoveries from exploration and excavation. You know, this you can see the fantastic semi-precious stone beads, agate, amethyst, kalnian, and many varieties. You know, these raw materials are not available in Bangladesh geographical boundary. It had come from other parts of the world, but you have to know the source. So you see the east beads, the varieties, there are some more such considering the time limit, I am showing you one slide, all varieties. See the amulets and pendants. This type of amulets and pendants I have seen in Allahabad Museum only. The and Indian sites, these are not, this varieties is not that. So you see some weights, different type of weights. See the glass beads.
Sorry, excuse me. Sorry to cut you in between. We can't see your presentation.
Yes.
You cannot see?
See your
We can't.
presentation. We can't see your presentation.
So it would be
Sorry?
great if you can. It would be great if you can share your screen.
Oh,
Share screen.
oh, sorry. Share screen. Let me go back and fast. Sorry.
That's fine.
I'm not. Can you see now?
Not yet.
Oh my God. Share the screen. Then I should share.
Yeah.
So can I go back?
I believe you can just scroll up and down, and you can continue from where.
Yes. I'd like to show. Can you see now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Let me start from first. It's short. Wadi Bateshwar is very important site in Bangladesh. It is an early historic site. It was it is a port city on the bank of the Brahmaputra. It had relation with Southeast Asian Mediterranean. We have found some artifacts which is very significant in the subcontinent context, not only Bangladesh. Now you can see, I think, the different types of beads, stone beads. And these raw material are not available in Bangladesh. So I think it had come from other place. We have found the production center of beads as well. See the stone beads, the east bead, the amulets and pendants, weights of different stones and terracotta. You can see the glass beads. The glass beads are Indo-Pacific monochrome drawn glass beads, sandwich glass beads. There are varieties of glass beads. You can see some metal object as well. So this is the silver punch mark coin. We have found a coin hoard, and this is Janapada. You know the silver punch mark coin, two types. One is called Janapada, other one is Imperial series. Janapada coin series goes back to 6th century BC to 4th century BC. On the basis of the coins, we have found the boat and some other analysis. We propose that Wadi Bateshwar was a ancient Janapada. The name of the Janapada was Lohito, which is mentioned in the Mahabharata. You see the northern black polystone. It is a very important indicator of early historic archaeology in Indian subcontinent. This is the rollated ware, which indicates the relation with the Mediterranean region. See the varieties of terracotta. Even you can see the Shunga terracotta is very important. We have found a lime shurki road. My main thing to share with you is the knobware. We have found the earthen knobware, bronze knobware, again bronze knobware, even Hittin bronze knobware. The Hittin bronze knobware mainly early historic period produced in the Southeast Asia. According to Professor Ian Glover of London University, knobware is related with Buddhist cosmology. We have, rather than the ceramics, we have found knob in architecture as well. So this is the architecture we are discovering. See, this is the unique architecture. Not only unique in Bangladesh, I have not found any parallel in any literature. But very close some are, but the steps are very wide. This is 10 meter long, 5 + 5 meter breadth, and 3.7 meter depth. This is there is a knob on the floor. See with the knob. Only this knob. So it is. We have given the name unique brick architecture. Somewhere I have found some references like Kunda, Kundi, Pukunia. That's why I have given the title.
Ali, is there any trouble here?
Yes, I think there's some connection problem. We are waiting again.
I think he has been disconnected.
Of course, maybe a minute we will wait for a while. Sorry for all the session participants. There is some connection problem, I think. We are waiting. Dr. Mustafizur Rahman, thank you so much for your attendance and waiting for a while.
That was very interesting to see the visuals he was sharing, because Dr. Zubaida and Dr. Abdul Hamid can also verify. We have just like the similar artifacts and objects here from our excavated sites as well. Is Siraj here from Bangladesh? Can you please call?
Yes. I am trying to connect him. Yeah, I have already sent him message. Now I am trying to connect him in mobile phone.
Great.
Please just wait. Please just wait a bit, please.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Sufi Mustafa is in the meeting again.
That's great.
He is not receiving my phone.
But he has started sharing his screen. He's in the meeting now, Siraj.
It's fine. This is the Murphy rules and technical problems in the meetings. Okay, we have waiting, doctor.
I think he has opened multiple windows for Zoom. Sorry, everyone. Nothing is under control when there are technical issues.
Yeah.
Yeah. So kindly bear with us.
Connection problem
Yes,
in everywhere.
exactly.
Dr. Sufir, again in the meeting.
You can't beat technology, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it happens in online meetings that
So,
use.
I'm sorry, internet problem, so I am using.
Okay, don't worry, go. Please.
ফোনটা এখানে ঢুকবো ঢুকে আসছি নাকি জয়েন মিটিং দিলে তো আসে না এটা তো আমি আসছি এখন আবার ঢুকবো কেন আমি তো আসছি
Dr. Rahman, you are now in the
Yes.
meeting. You can open your presentation and you can continue. Go on, please.
yeah.
ওকে ফোন বন্ধ রাখো তো তোমারটা এটা সাহায্য করো একটু স্ক্রিন শেয়ারিং
We can already see your screen. We can see
I
everything you're
cannot see
doing.
my screen
Oh.
আবার যেতে হবে তাহলে স্ক্রিন শেয়ারিং কোথায়
Or maybe we can move to the next speaker, and meanwhile you can fix your
Yes,
system.
yes,
What
yes.
is-
Yeah.
Yes, please.
I think this is better.
This is important.
With your permission, Sufi Saab, is that okay?
এটা এখানে এগুলো আসে কেন
He told okay. He told okay.
Okay, okay, thank you. So with this little technical hiccup, we'll give the floor to Sufi Saab again when he's done with his technical functionalities. Let me introduce Dr. Zubaida Yusuf, our next speaker. Dr. Zubaida Yusuf is an assistant curator come lecturer at Sir Sahibzada Abdul Qayyum Museum of Archaeology Department, University of Peshawar. She is working since 2012. She did her master's degree with distinction from Archaeology Department, University of Peshawar. Recently, she has completed her PhD degree in Gandhara art from the same department. Her research was on the clothing tradition of ancient Udyana Swat. Thank you so much, Dr. Zubaida, for joining in. The floor is yours. You can share your screen now.
যা অক্টোবর বলতে পারে Izia Khan, I am ready. I think. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Can I start, or you have already offered the other speaker?
Okay, you can start because Dr. Zubaida has yet to. So you please continue first. Sorry, Dr. Zubaida.
It's okay.
কোথায় এটা শেয়ার করছে তো ফুল স্ক্রিনে আমার কোথায়
Right bottom of your screen, yes.
এটা না ফুল স্ক্রিন Okay, just I'll go my slide, last slide. That's what I do. Yes, I was here. So this is the knob. You know, after excavation, what we do, we backfill for temporary conservation because the conservation money and technical support, unless not managed. So we keep like this way, put some billboards, saying some photographs and text. So other monument is, you can see here's a Biharika. Normally in the subcontinent we find Bihar, Buddhist Bihara. In Wadi Bateshwar we have found one Buddhist Biharika. It is mentioned in a copper plate. It is 15 cells we have found. I don't know what is the difference between Biharika and Bihara, but it is mentioned in the copper plate. There is a Biharika. This one is, we have given the name of the Lotus Temple. see the before conservation, before the excavation, after excavation. This is the Garbhagriha. And second page, we have found a lotus of 8 petals, 6, you can see 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One is broken, other one is missing. This is the plan drawing of the lotus temple. What happened? We have made a first time in Bangladesh in situ conservation. It is as an archaeologist, I demand this is the first scientific conservation in Bangladesh. It is backfill. Like this, we have done some conservation works and we have given a shade over the monument. Now we can show it as it is. So far, I have seen in Bangladesh and India, during conservation, the conservation specialists, they change the mortar. We know in the early historic and pre-medieval architecture, we find clay mortar. But I have found in Nalanda and other places, during conservation, they have used the lime shurki mortar. So here you will find the exact nature of the ancient architecture. So we have put some billboards. This is the conservation work is covered by a shade and some flowers and walkway. People can go inside and see. I have seen this type of conservation in China. So the tourists, they can go inside and round to see the monument. The other one is called Buddhist temple. So it is very big. So this is Garbhagriha. So this is very significant in Greek design. So, and we have found some Buddhist Kalasha, Borfi designs and the parapet, excellent design. So it is very close view of the design. This is very stair at flight. Is a ground plan. We have done a small shade. Due to short of our budget and money, we have given just shade of a part of the monument. This is then you can see the temporary conservation, but in situ conservation, no change of our the exact monument. This is our plan to build a side museum like this way, so that we can keep the monument as it is, as it was. I would like to show you some things. And a part of public archaeology, we have built first in Wadi Bateshwar. It is, see, don't laugh, just see the open air museum. So we have put the replica of those monuments. We have to show the public, because after excavation, we backfill. That's why many people come to see our discoveries, but we cannot show them at present. That's why we have done this type of replicas in our open air museum. People come and have a look, and they can see the original photograph, but they can see the monument. And this is the first time we have introduced this way to popularize the heritage. We have found a road. This is also covered. Here we have made a replica of the road in the open air museum. This is the plan of the urban city. This is the fortification and the settlements in a small scale. This is one more pit dwelling in Chalcolithic culture. This is an exact place we have done. This is a replica of the pit dwelling. You have found this type of pit dwelling in Inamgaon in Maharashtra in India. So this is the visitor, they come, and I also become the guide that time. Sometime we invite our state people also, some ministers, they visited these places, our open air museum, school girls, school, college, university, they also visit. The local people also come. This is a part of public archaeology. What we think that the local are the custodians of the heritage. They should come and see the heritage. They should acknowledge. Then we can keep the heritage in proper form. Otherwise, it is being destroyed in many places. People are taking the bricks, and I think the scenario this scenario is same in Indian subcontinent. So this is our on-site museum. You see the very old man. He came to see our open air museum. You see the future people also with his or her father come to see our work. It's very significant for us. Sometimes we also deliver lecture regarding the heritage in our open air museum, mainly in the winter season, when I stay in the field for excavation. Otherwise, it is not open always. Chinese ambassador, he visited our open air museum. Even American ambassador, he also visited our open air museum. We have not invited them. Seeing in the newspaper, they came to see Wadi Bateshwar. I think this is our result of public archaeology. So, the 2 days back, I told that the single attraction, many attraction in a single place. So when a family will come to see our monument, what the kid will do? For the kid, we have done this small children park. Some people come to see the flowers with only the photographs. Our intention we let people come to see the flowers. At least they will see some heritage. What happened? We do many people come and see the artifacts, but they don't know how it come out from the excavation. So interdictive archaeology, we have started as we are students of archaeology. So you have built this small grid for the kids. They come to visit, they start digging, and sometimes they find the artifacts, they clean artifacts, I mean replicas. We have documentary on the site. So when people come, we also show them documentary. So in conclusion, I would like to say that you have already seen the artifact discovered at Wadi Bateshwar are highly significant. The Northware and the unique Greek architecture, whether it is the Kunda, Kundi, or Pukuni, are symbolic representation of Buddhism at Wadi Bateshwar during 3rd century BC. This is the Greek architecture. Out of carbon-14 dating, we have found 3rd century BC. This is the earliest Greek architecture in Bangladesh. Our main purpose of public archaeology through open air museum are twofold: to popularize archaeological heritage and to create heritage awareness. To achieve the desired objectives, we have created replicas and many heritage products for tourists alongside presenting the concept of Greek architecture. We have followed the one destination, many attractions theory for tourists. So our plan is to build, of course, a formal museum. It is under construction with many limitations. We have started archaeology. We have started museology and modern museum in future. We hope so. So we must admit that still our museums in Bangladesh are not that modern one. We are in traditional approach. Let's hope that in near future we'll introduce all the modern technology and other features in museum. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Sufi Saab. It is really impressive to see what you guys are doing there. Your interventions and accomplishments are really appreciable. And I believe that photograph was really admiring, in which an old fellow was looking at the artifacts with a very sharp and keen observation. And I believe it's a very good initiative that you have engaged school children in the actual archaeology. This is the informal heritage education. So that's really great. We are so proud of you. Thank you so much for sharing all that with us. With this note, I would invite Dr. Zubeda to share her contributions with us. Dr. Zubeda Yusuf.
Gigi.
Yeah.
Thank you, Izahan, for considering me worthy of talking on this international platform. And wait. And hi, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Zubeda Yusuf. My today's talk is about a dress article, which I have named as Tripartite Cape of the Buddha. There are two reasons why I have selected this item or dress for the present talk, because this dress item is rarely depicted in Gandhara art, and secondly, it is associated with the iconography of Buddha. So these two reasons making it very interesting and important dress item to be discussed. So in our museum, Sir Sahibzada IVCoM Museum, we have a stucco torso of Buddha, in which he is wearing the said garment. This is excavated from a Buddhist site of Shnesha in Swat. The excavation was carried out by the Department of Archaeology, University of Peshawar, in collaboration with the Department of Archaeology and Museum, Government of Pakistan, under the supervision of Dr. Abdur Rahman. During the excavation, the architectural remains of a Buddhist stupa and monastery are revealed, and good corpse of stone sculptures along with a few stucco sculptures also came into light. So our sculpture is also among those few stucco sculptures recovered from the Shnesha site. This is dated to 4th century AD, and it is measuring 22 by 22 centimeter. This is a torso of in stucco, the Buddhist Buddha's torso, and head, one arm, and the body below the stomach is broken, but it retained much of the said garment, which I am calling as tripartite cape. It is consisted of 3 triangle flaps, one larger flaps falling on his chest, and 2 smaller flaps each falling on his from his shoulders. And probably it also had a 4th big flap falling at the back, but because this is in relief, so we don't have any trace of the 4th flap at its back. So it is very finely and delicately fringed, and tassels are provided on the corners. Some embossed little discs of varying size are irregularly dispersed in the field. This is the small introduction, a brief introduction of the said garments. Although this piece of garment in our collection is not that much decorated and ornamented as compared to the other specimens from other sites of Gandhara. This is interesting because this is a very unusual representation of Buddha, which is in contrast to the set canon of the representation of Buddha, the one who have renounced all the worldly pleasure and embraced the simplicity, and who is always depicted in very simple clothes of Antarya, Acharya, and Samghati. This iconography began from the Swat Udhyana region, in which Buddha is presented wearing tripartite ornamented cape, along with a crown and ornamented or elevated headdresses. And this iconography developed in late phase of Buddhist art in India, Tibet, Nepal, and Kashmir. And the sculptures of the crowned Buddha with the similar depiction of wearing tripartite cape and crown are made in brass, bronze, ivory, stone, clay, and stucco, are reported from different sites from Gilgit, Swat, Kashmir, and Afghanistan, which are later in date. The scholars have used different terminologies to designate the said garments, like 3-cornered, vestibule, camel, 3-pointed cape, tripartite cape. But here I'm using the tripartite cape for the said garment. First ever example was reported from Fandukistan in Ghurban Valley, Afghanistan, which is dated to 7th century. And it is a figure of Buddha in unbacked clay. The figure is very delicately executed, and over his monastic Samghati, he's wearing a tripartite cape, which is edged with beads and fringed with tassels. All the tassels are in the shape of lotus birds, and embossed discs, rosettes, rosettes with pendants are scattered in all three fields of the triangle. Around the neck, the same motifs are used in the shape of necklace, 2 rows of beads encircling, enclosing the rosettes, and from the lower border of the necklace, like curve, are provided pendants. The third example came from the Walmore collection, and you can see a standing Buddha wearing same kind of tripartite cape with slightly different ornamentation. But in addition to tripartite cape, he is also wearing a cape or crown on his head. Contemporary to the unblecked clay sculpture of Buddha from Fundukistan is a painting in niche 1 at Bamyan, which is also dated to 7th century. And you can see Heloid Buddha is seated cross-legged. He's wearing tripartite cape and also a turreted crown. And similar to the Bamyan painting is a rock carving from Gilgit, where the Buddha is depicted with the same tripartite cape and turreted crown. Sorry, my laptop hang ho gaya. Although from the Gandhara, these are the rare depictions of Buddha in ornamentation or with crown and cape. But this was in later Buddhist art from Kashmir. This is abundantly appearing, this iconography of Buddha with more lavishly decorated tripartite cape and well elevated and ornamented headgears and crowns. And the symbol of crescent and disc, sun disk is also added in this iconography. A bronze stupa fragment from Kashmir shows 4 faces, and every face is accommodating a seated Buddha. And one face of this bronze stupa fragment shows a seated Buddha holding a ball in his hand, and he's wearing tripartite cape and an elevated headdress. After seeing all this, one may think that the tripartite cape is originated in Gandhara or in Kashmir, but this similar kind of cape appeared much earlier in Gandhara art, around 2nd to 3rd century CE, which shows its foreign origin because in 2nd and 3rd century, similar kind of tripartite cape is observed worn by the people dressed in Kushan style dress, wearing belted tunics, trousers, and over the belted tunic, they are wearing tripartite capes. Although they are not ornamented and decorated as in the case of Buddha, but the decoration shows the scale decoration, which is similar to the armor. So probably they were using it as a chest armor or shoulder guards. The adaptation of the said dress article or tripartite cape is not confined only to the Buddhism, but the Surya and his attendant Danda figure in Gupta period or probably after post-Gupta period also showing with the same iconography of tripartite cape with slightly different decoration in the field. The origin of the iconography was probably originated in around 4th century AD in Swat, but it appeared more frequently in late Kashmiri Buddhist sculptures. The Central Asians introduced it to Gandhara, where it was welcomed warmly, but in Kashmir, it gained more popularity and it is adopted for royal insignia. And it became a symbol of nobility and royalty in Kashmir. When the Manx stated it was a mantle of authority in Kashmir. In early Himalayan art of 10th to early 13th centuries, where the Vairasena was the main cult deity of mandala, the Buddha sculptures in clay are properly donned in bright colored silken tripartite capes in the same manners. It might be the stylistic innovation penetrated in later Buddhist art influenced by the local Indian styles Or maybe it was a stylistic innovation under the Brahmanical dynasties. Its association with Buddha is manifested diversely by the different scholars. They thought maybe it manifests the continuity and preservation of Dharma through Sangha. It symbolized in the event when Buddha was dying. Shakyamuni Buddha presented his golden robe to Mahakashyapa on his parinirvana to hand over this to Bodhisattva Maitreya on his becoming the Buddha. It is probably associated with the sovereignty of Chakravartin king who ruled efficiently and benevolently. The Buddha, it might manifest the representation of Buddha is Shakyamuni, Mahavirasena, or Sambhogakaya. Sambhogakaya is the Buddha blissful representation in human form. This is one of the kaya of his three kaya. The concept of visual Buddha was present in Hinayana period as well. In the early Buddhist art, the Buddha figure is presented by empty throne or chair, and the people and the devotees are offering turbans, garland, and ornamentation to the empty throne or chair. But in Mahayana, the concept is presented with more elaborate iconography by adding the tripartite cape, elevated crowns, and addition of moon and sun disk to it. So I conclude that the possible origin of the tripartite cape is from Central Asia, not from Gandhara or Kashmir, but yes, its iconographic origin can be traced in Swat Udyana. It was used by nobility, probably, or as a kind of decorated armor with scales over their tunics and trouser suit. It attained high prestige and importance in Kashmiri culture, where it is adopted for royal use and it became the insignia of royalty. The representation of the bejeweled and crowned divine figure became a common practice and feature of religious iconography under the influence of later Gupta art, and that's the reason all the Buddha figure which belong to the late phase of Buddhist art are depicted wearing elevated crowns and well-ornamented tripartite capes and jewelry. So maybe it indicates the royal cap presented by a king in Panchavarshika ceremony was a sign of assuring the future of the true dharma. It was a ceremony during the Buddhist period in which the king present a lavish jewelry and a royal cap to the figure of well-ornamented Buddha, or maybe it promoting the ideology of sacred kingship, manifesting king as an incarnation of God on earth. Presentation of Mahavirasena or Sambhogakaya, or maybe it is a continuation of dharma and kept as an emblem of investiture that will pass over to future Buddha through Mahakashyapa. Thank you so much for your patience and listening me so carefully. Thank you, Riza Khan.
Thank you, Dr. Zubaida, for giving us a very different insight about the costume and textiles of Buddha, which we have not been seeing lately in our collections, or we have not been focusing on that in our museums. Thank you so much. Can you please stop sharing your screen now? With this note, let me invite Dr. Abdul Hamid. Yes. Dr. Abdul Hamid belongs to District Chitral of the KP province of Pakistan, completed Masters in Archaeology from the University of Peshawar, MPhil from Hazara University, Mansehra, and PhD in Archaeology with specialization in Buddhist heritage from the same university. He started his professional career from Peshawar Museum and had been engaged in different explorations, excavations, and documentation projects carried out by the Directorate of Archaeology and Museum, Government of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. He started his teaching career as a lecturer at Hazara University, Mansehra, and currently he's serving there as an assistant professor of archaeology department, besides heading Department of Tourism and Hospitality. He has published 25 research papers in various reputed national and international journals, and awarded with IRSIP scholarship by the HAC to complete PhD research from the University of Wisconsin-Madison, USA. He supervised many field projects, including archaeological excavations at Iron Age Cemetery in district Chitral, Bhamala, Texila, and Badodheri, Mansehra, and serving UNESCO Pakistan as a project coordinator is also in his portfolio of accomplishments. Thank you so much, Dr. Hamid, for joining in. I would give the floor to Dr. Hamid to present his presentation. Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, and good afternoon. Thank you so much, Iza Khan, for such a nice introduction. I hope you can hear me and also you can see my screen clearly.
Yes, we can.
Okay, so I really feel privileged to be a part of this scholarly congress, and for that I'm really thankful to ICOM Pakistan and also the participants from South Asia and other countries. So I'll start my presentation with this map of Gandhara. So I don't want to go into detail because much of the things have already been shared by my colleagues, Zubeda and also Tarursa. So this is the map of Gandhara showing the important centers, including Takshashila, Gandhara, Kapisha, and Udiana. So this is another map of Gandhara showing the Buddhist sites and tourist attraction sites as well as museums. So here is another map of the museum. So as we know that Gandhara actually it is known for its rich Buddhist heritage, but the cultural history of Gandhara, it goes beyond Buddhism. Archaeological excavations and explorations in the region conducted by various institutions and departments, including University of Peshawar, Directorate of Archaeology and Museums, Government of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, have unfolded many prehistoric sites in the length and breadth of this province. So recently, Lower Paleolithic and Mesolithic as well as Middle Paleolithic sites have been reported from Bajor and Mumand regions, the Fata area, during the explorations conducted by the Directorate of Archaeology and Museums, Government of KP. So these are some of the rock shelters and caves which were explored and excavated by the Directorate of Archaeology. So these are the stone and bone tools reported from these important prehistoric sites. So after the prehistoric era, you know that we have the early historic sites, have been reported from different regions. So one of the important, early historic site is Balahisar, which is located in Charsadda district of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province. So this important site was excavated by the Department of Archaeology, University of Peshawar, and last year excavations were also resumed at this site. So this is another important site, Shaji Ki Dairy, which is located in Peshawar. So this is the site which once accommodated, accommodated one of the tallest stupas of the world, built by Kanishka, the most celebrated king of the Kushan dynasty. So excavations at these particular sites were carried out during the British era in 1906-07 and later on 1909 and 10. These excavations revealed a number of sculptures as well as this relic casket is very important, on which the name of this Peshawar is written, as well as the Kanishka is also mentioned on this relic casket. So Peshawar, also known as Purshapura or Kanishkapura, it was the second capital city. It remained the second capital city of Gandhara, right from the Kushan period up until the 6th century AD. So this is one of the important site from where this relic casket was reported. So this relic casket is now, it is housed in the Peshawar Museum. It contained the original, ashes and bone pieces of Buddha, which were donated by the British government at that time to one of the Buddhist societies of Burma. But we have the relic casket in our museum. This is another important site, which is located at the heart of Peshawar, which is known as Gurgatri. So excavations at this particular site were carried out by the Directorate of Archaeology and Museums, Government of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa from 2003 up to 6. And these excavations were very important because these excavations revealed a continuous cultural profile of the city, right from the Indo-Greek up to the British period. So based on these antiquities and archaeological remains reported from this particular site, some of the scholars are of the view, and they say that Peshawar is the earliest living city of South Asia because right from the 2nd century BC, they found a continuous culture till the colonial era. Hund it remained the 3rd capital of Gandhara from 6th century up to 11th century AD. There are so many sites at Hund, which were one of these important sites were excavated again by the University of Peshawar. And then some other sites, Takhbai, one of the most preserved, Buddhist sites in the entire Gandhara region. So it's located in district Mardan. So these are some other important sites, which are the sources of the artifacts which now we see in different museums in Pakistan and abroad. So I would just wanted to share all these photographs and to tell you about these sites, because these are the sources from where most of the artifacts have come from. So Tadedi is yet another Buddhist site, Mekhasanda, Ranigat, and Budkala 1 in Sawat, Budkala 3 in Sawat, Shengardar Stupa, Sedu Sharif Stupa, Andan Deri, Gumbatuna Stupa, Hebadgram Stupa, etc. And then Shapola Stupa, Khyber Pass, and then Shalkandi is yet another important Buddhist site in Bir district of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. And Aziz Deri again is located in Sawabi district of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. So then when we go towards east, we have, in Texla, we have, so many archaeological Buddhist heritage sites, which have been inscribed on the World Heritage List of UNESCO. So these include Bir Mound, which is considered to be the earliest, historic city of Texla. And then Sirkap is yet another important site of Indo-Greek settlement. This is the second historic site at Texla. And Sirsukh is also the third historic site, settlement site in Texla, which is assigned to the Kushan period. And then apart from these settlement sites, we have these religious monuments comprising stupas and monasteries. Dharmarajika stupa at Texla is one of the earliest stupas that is said to have been erected by Ashok after redistribution of the relics. And then we have Vamala, which is the concern of my talk today. We'll be talking about this site more. And then Mohra Muradu, so these are Pipla, Stupa, Julian's sites. So these are the most important sites. And coming towards the Gandharan collection in different museums. So Texla Museum, it was established in 1918. When Sir John Marshall, the renowned British archaeologist, he started archaeological excavations and explorations at Texla region right from 1913 up to 34. So during these extensive excavations, a large number of artifacts were reported. So in order to house those artifacts, so this museum was established at Texla. So it houses thousands of archaeological artifacts, including sculptures, coins, and other household objects, which were reported from these sites in Texla region. Peshawar Museum, actually, it was established as a dancing hall, and later on, when during the British era, archaeological excavations were carried out in different parts of the Kepi province or this Gandhara region, especially. So this dancing hall was converted into a museum back in 1906-07. And this is considered to be the largest museum in terms of Gandhara art, because it houses the most extensive number of artifacts from Gandhara region. And you can see on the screen the total number of the artifacts in the museum, and then their classification. These include sculptures, Islamic, gallery also there. So it also houses, Islamic period objects, and also some other modern paintings and ethnological, objects are there. But the most extensive, number of artifacts include sculptures and coins. They have come from different Gandharan sites. So as Dr. Tarul also discussed about the previous stories of previous incarnation depicted in Gandhara art. So these are some of the panels showing these stories of previous incarnation of Buddha, which are housed in the Peshawar Museum. So these include the Amara Jataka and the Pankara, and some life stories also are also depicted, which include the Mahamaya dream and interpretation of the dream, and the birth scene and the bath scene, and Buddha going to school. So these have come through various sources, as donation from different people. And these are some other panels showing the life stories. A total of 74 so far panels are displayed in the main hall of the museum, representing different events that took place in the life of Buddha. So these are some of the panels showing different scenes. And one of the masterpieces is the image or sculpture showing the first meditation of Buddha. It has come from Seri-Behlul during the excavation during the British era, 1911 and 12. So these are some other panels showing the first sermon, the Sarvasti miracle, the Mahaparinirvana scene, and the cremation, as well as distribution of the relics. So these are some important panels which are displayed in the museum. Apart from these panels, we also have other, figures that show strong foreign elements and influence. So these include the heads, and then the Greek gods and goddesses, as well as the coins which are displayed in this museum. These are some of the gold coins in the Peshawar Museum. And then Mardan Museum, it was also established, a few years back in district Mardan, and it houses a good collection, Gandharan collection, including sculptures and coins, etc. So Sawat Museum, Saidu Sharif, it houses most of the sculptures and other artifacts that were excavated by the Italian archaeological mission to Pakistan. They are still working there, and most of the sculptures which are displayed in this museum have come from an important site, Budkara 1. And then Deer Museum, it also houses some of the important masterpieces of Gandhara art. You can see these are in stone, stucco, and other materials. Han Museum Sawabi is a newly established museum. It also houses Gandharan collection, including sculptures, coins, and other artifacts. So other museums housing a Gandhara collection These are the SSAQ Museum of Archaeology and Ethnology, University of Peshawar, Chitral Museum, the City Museum at Gurgaon in Peshawar, National Museum, Karachi, and Lahore Museum. And apart from these national museums, most of the museums abroad, including British Museum, as well as some other museums in USA, they also house a good collection of Gandhara sculptures and other artifacts. And then, so I'll be talking more about my own contribution. Is mentioned earlier that I was a part of, archaeological excavations conducted in Gandhara region. So one of the most carried out as a field director that was conducted at Bamala, one of the most important Buddhist sites, which is located in Texla region. So these are some of the addition to the Peshawar Museum collection that we have made during our excavations at Bamala. So at the site, the first season was carried out in 2012-13, and then 14-15, and then 15 and 16. So Bamala, as I mentioned earlier, that it is located in Texla region on the right bank of the Haru River, on which we have now the reservoir, the Khanpur Dam, Khanpur Reservoir or Khanpur Dam. You can see here. So you can see this is one of the most beautiful site in Texla region. This is very rich in terms of archaeological heritage as well as natural beauty as well. You can see this site. So this is another view of the site. So this is the entire mound that comprises, Buddhist sites, including monastic establishment and stupa and some other remains. So I would like to, mention here that archaeological investigation at this particular site were for the first time carried out by Sir John Marshall in 1930 and 31. He carried out excavation at this particular site, and his excavations at the site exposed, Buddhist stupa, a main stupa surrounded by votive stupas, as well as he also partially excavated a monastery comprising of cells, kitchen area, and an assembly hall. So then excavations at this particular site were resumed back in 2012-13 by the Department of Archaeology, Azara University, Mansera, in collaboration with the Department of Anthropology, University of Wisconsin, as well as the Directorate of Archaeology and Museums, Government of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. After this first season work, I'm really thankful to the Directorate of Archaeology for providing us facilities, especially sponsoring these projects, that we were able to continue the second and third season at this particular site. So this particular site, as I mentioned earlier, that Marshall excavated for the first time. He conducted excavation at this site, and this is the one of the cruciform stupas. Very few cruciform stupas are there, and this is the best preserved cruciform stupa so far we have in the entire Gandhara region, and it is surrounded by smaller votive stupas. And this is the monastic establishment that was partially excavated. So you can see a team of archaeologists from different institutions when we started our expedition here back in 2013. So it was a joint venture that was started under the Directorate of Archaeology, Cape Government, Azara University, Pakistan, and also some of our colleagues from Baroda University I would like to mention their name, Dr. Charushmita. She was also a part of this excavation that we carried out during the first season, and also my supervisor, Professor Dr. Mark Inayat. So he was a part of this expedition. And these are some of the important discoveries that were unearthed during our excavations at this particular site. You can see the tiles, terracotta tiles, and stucco sculptures. The entire floor of the main stupa was paved with these tiles, which are decorated with swastika, floral, and geometrical designs. So then we not only we started excavation at the areas which were partially excavated by Marshall, especially in the monastery area, but also we extended our excavation towards west, and this was the area which remained the focus of our second and third. In his report, he did not excavate this particular mound, and he has mentioned in his report that by excavating this area, I would not be able to justify the expenses of excavation. So for him, it was something very disturbed, or something which was not very much important from an archaeological point of view. But we focused on this particular mound. So our second and third season excavation that we carried out. So this is the initial clearing in front of Kanjur wall. So when we started excavating this mound, we found a Kanjur wall, straight Kanjur structure, which we termed initially as a Kanjur wall. We didn't have any idea. So it is interesting that in archaeology, you will not, say clearly unless and until something is fully exposed. So we found these fragments. As you can see, this is the structure which initially we thought it might be a Kanjur wall, and statue of Buddha, Mahaparinirvana Buddha, right? So, but during the excavation, you can see after the excavation, it was very much clear. So actually, this was not a Kanjur wall, rather it was a monumental statue of Buddha, which was placed on a stone platform. Here you can see this is the lower foot, the upper foot was found damaged. So you can see here, this is the another closer view of his foot. So then these drawings were made during the end after the excavations, by our team. And then this particular, chamber which accommodated this colossal size image of Buddha, we also found terracotta sculptures, including head and bust of male and female figures. And then we also found that this colossal size Buddha image, it was surrounded by sculptures showing the Mahaparinirvana scene, or the death scene of that were found from inside this long chamber accommodating the Mahaparinirvana image of Buddha. And some of these terracotta were covered with white plaster as well as gold leaf. So this is the drawing. It shows this is the monastery area which was partially excavated by Marshall, and this is the cruciform stupa that was also excavated by Marshall. And this is the area where we focused our two-season excavation. So this is the chamber, and this is the platform on which this monumental statue of Buddha is placed. And then further, we also extended our excavation towards west, where we also found another main stupa surrounded by Bodhi stupas and chapels, which were elaborately adorned with stucco sculptures of Buddha. And these are the sculptures which were reported from this particular area. So closer view of the monastery area, you can see we also, noticed that some unique features, in the monastery area, especially this stone platform right in front, right in the middle of this water tank or depression in this monastery, which is unique, which we don't find in any other monastery in Gandhara region. So this is the second stupa, which we have termed main stupa B, that was exposed further towards the western side of this chamber that accommodated the monumental image of Buddha. And then this is another view of the second stupa that was exposed at the side. And these are the chapels around this stupa, which are, that accommodate the stucco images of Buddha and his devotees. These excavations were very important because archaeological excavations at Bamhala, the discovery of largest and earliest parinirvana statue in the beginning of colossal size image of Buddha. I'll be talking more about this. The emergence of stepped cross stupas and the earliest representation of Buddha image with double halos. So these were some of the important findings from this particular site. Then coming towards this Mahaparinirvana statue, the Mahaparinirvana statue from Buddha, from Bamhala especially, parinirvana is a final anticipation from the limit of existence in which all the attributes of phenomenal existence cease. The parinirvana, being one of the most important events, is elegantly carved in stucco, stone, and other materials by the artisans or sculptors of Gandhara. Such images are usually adorned in stupa and chapels. The parinirvana statue from Bamhala is the largest one ever reported from the entire textile in Gandhara or Udayana, because it measures 14.5 meter in length. These colossal size parinirvana images also have come from different other regions, including this Afghanistan, Tapasardar, including Palonarva in Sri Lanka, and also from Central Asia and China. But excavation at Bamhala not only revealed hundred of terracotta and stucco sculptures, architectural elements, but also coins and iron objects as well. And some of the important structural remains, including these votive stupas, main stupas, and chapels, which are decorated with these stucco images. But the discovery of parinirvana statue in Ganjur, which measures 14.5 meters, being the largest and earliest, needs special consideration. Based on the most extensive number of parinirvana images reported from Bamhala, we may assume that the practice of worshiping colossal parinirvana statues might emerge in Texla region. So far, the rest of the epistolary, all the colossal or monumental parinirvana images from different parts of South Asia, Central Asia, and China. And then after that, I established a chronology of all these monumental sculptures showing parinirvana scene by placing the one fit by our team to be the first and earliest one. Okay, this is the map showing the distribution of colors from Bamhala, which is datic evidences as well as radiocarbon dates. So before the discovery of this monumental parinirvana statue from Buddha, scholars were of the view that the first and earliest monumental image, this tradition of carving monumental image emerged from Ajanta, because at Ajanta in cave 26 we have similar monumental a statue of Buddha showing the Mahaparinirvana scene, which is dated back to 5th century CE. But our excavation at Vamala revealed the statue, which we have dated to 3rd century CE, predating the one from Ajanta. And then the rest of the colossal size Parinirvana statues from other regions, including Tapasardar, Bamyan, 7th century, 8th century, Adzina Tepe, Chui Valley, 9th century AD. We have Donghang Parinirvana colossal image, which is dated back to 11th century CE. And then we have the one from Balunarva, which is also dated back to the 11th century AD. And then the step cross stupa is yet another important structure that we see at Bamala, and this is the best preserved one. And also, I also have studied, these cruciform structures in detail. And I have also published so many, articles on this, establishing also the chronology of, these step cross or cruciform shaped stupas. So this is the map that I have prepared, showing of the South Asian, Central Asian regions as well as China. So according to my study, so the one at Zarderi, which is very near to the university, Hazara University, in district Mansehra. So this stands to be the earliest cross-shaped stupas in the entire subcontinent, and South Asia and Central Asia and China, because this is dated back to the Kushan period. And then this belongs to the first phase of cruciform stupas. This is dated based on the numismatics evidences. So this particular stupa was excavated in 1995 by the Tokyo National Archaeological Mission to Pakistan. And then the second phase form shaped stupas, 3rd century AD, dated back to 3rd century AD. These includes, yes, just
I
2
would
more
just
minutes, please.
expedite it. Yeah, please. This is really interesting, but I think.
Okay. So we were talking about the distribution or emergence of cruciform stupas in and outside Gandhara region. So according to my study, the stupa at Zarderi in district Mansehra, this is the earliest cruciform Buddhist stupa so far reported from the subcontinent as well as Central Asia and China, because it is dated back to the Kushan period, 2nd century AD. And then the second phase, during the second phase, that is 3rd century to 4th century AD. So stupa at Saripalol in district Mardan, Takalwala in Peshawar, Shaji Ki Deri is later one, and Bamala, Harwan, Pari Hasanpur. These are 2 are located in Kashmir regions. So these were constructed during the 3rd, 4th century AD. And then we have the stupa at Bamyan, Tapasardar. These are dated back to 6th, 7th century AD. And Rawak is also, it belongs to the second phase. And then Paharpur in Bangladesh, it is of later period. And Sanchi, building number 42 at Sanchi, excavated by Surgeon Marshall, is assigned to 11th century AD, which is much later. So here I would like to again say that the tradition of cruciform stupa, Buddhist stupa, it really started in this Gandharan region from Zarderi, and later on it was disseminated. This idea was disseminated in the surrounding regions, including Afghanistan, China, Central Asia, and India. So these are the radiocarbon dates from Bamala, and these are not only the most important thing or aspect of our work at this particular site, Bamala, that we did not shift all these sculptures to the museum. Rather, wherever possible, we conserved those sculptures and left them at their original places, so that the pilgrims or the tourists coming to this particular site have a clear idea about the purpose of these sculptures and the purpose of these spaces, especially the chapels and drum of the stupa. So we established a type of open air museum for the tourists as well as Buddhist pilgrims. So these are some of the stucco images which were found damaged, and later on these were conserved properly and we left them at the site. So these, when you go to Bamhala, you can see all these sculptures around the stupas as well as inside these chapels. So I'm also thankful to Iftikhar and also one of my friends who were engaged in conservation of all these important relics. So these are some of the important relics, sculptures, stucco sculptures, which we conserved and left at the site for the tourists as well as for the Buddhist pilgrims. And the religious significance of Bamala. I'm thankful to Center for Culture and Development. So for the arrangement of special prayer for the monks coming from Korea. And during their visit, they have declared Bamala to be spiritually the most sacred site in the entire, Gandhara region. So this was announced during this particular, prayer session. So our Prime Minister and Imran Khan also visited this particular site after these important discoveries. So at the end, I would like to extend my gratitude to administration of Hazara University, Directorate of Archaeology and Museums, excavation team, higher education commission, and Javed Saab, Tarar Saab, and enabled us to come out from our geographical boundaries and share our experiences, expertise, and ideas what is going on in different parts of the subcontinent. Thank you so very much once again.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hamid. We have a lot of information to obtain from you, but due to the constraints of time, we had to remind you and we had to bother you. You have given up such a, in-depth orientation and analysis of your whole excavations and all the Gandhara sites. I believe all our listeners and partners from across the world, especially from Buddhist countries, they will now see how much we have been holding here with regards to Buddhism and Gandhara. So we would welcome you all to come here and do research and do your studies in this field. With this note, the last speaker, sorry for kept you waiting, Mr. Sanrat Vikram Singhe. I would, without any further ado, I would invite you and would hand over the floor to you. Mr. Sanrat, he's the Director, Culture Department of Museums, Colombo, Sri Lanka. Thank you for joining in, sir. Please go ahead.
Mr. Abdul Hamid, please close your presentation.
Mr. Vikram Singhe, you can start now. Thank you.
can you see my presentation?
Yes, we can see that.
Yes. My topic is Buddhism in Pakistan. This is very broad topic, but all of we know we can't speak in broadly in the limited time. But I would like to try to present some important informations regarding this topic. And I would like to thanks ICOM Pakistan behalf of ICOM Sri Lanka and Department of National Museums Sri Lanka. Actually, state of Indian subcontinent in northwestern Pakistan has played important role as a main center and land of Buddhism in the past. Sri Lanka was the center of the Theravada Buddhism, Hinayana, and in the past, the center of the Mahayana Buddhism was land of the Gandhar, present day in Pakistan. Buddhism took root some 2,300 years ago under the Mauryan kingdom, and Buddhism has played a major role in the history of Pakistan, the land of which over have been part of the predominantly Buddhist emperors such as Mauryan Emperor, Ashoka Kingdom, the Kushan Emperor, Indo-Greek Emperor, and Pala Emperor, 3rd century BCE to nearly 12th century CE. All of you know the great Dhamma preached by Gautama Buddha around the 6th century BCE. All centuries from about 1st century CE. The territory of the present day Pakistan took major role in protecting Buddhism in India and expanding it to the world. It is very interesting. This my presentation discuss briefly under the following topic: Buddhism under the Mauryan Emperor, Buddhism under Indo-Greek and the Indo-Bactrian kingdom, Buddhism under the Kushan Emperor, and late Buddhism, decline of Buddhism in Pakistan in brief. First of all, according to the Sri Lankan chronicle, Great Chronicle, Mahavamsa, Buddhism was first introduced to Pakistan and Sri Lanka at the same time. During the reign of Dharmashoka of the Mauryan Emperor. Almost all of the who ruled almost all of the Indian subcontinent from 268 to 232. After the third Buddhist Council of Dhamma, the Sri Lankan tradition date this mission to Ashoka 18 ring regional year named the following countries according to the Mahavamsa, the Great Chronicle of Sri Lanka. some Mahinda Thero, son of Dharmasok in Dharmasorku, who sent to the Sri Lanka, Majjantika Thero, to Kashmir and Gandhara, now in Pakistan, Gandhara now in Pakistan, and Dharmarakita, the Greek, to Aparanta, now in Western India. This is three location is very important. මේක වෙන හිර වෙලක්ද?
Sir, kindly unmute your mic, please.
Mr. Vikramansinghe, please open you are mute now. Please unmute now. Okay, we are hearing you. Thank you.
It is important to note that after the third Sangha Council in Patliputra, Emperor Asoka was introduced original Buddhism we call Theravada or Hinaya Buddhism to Sri Lanka and Pakistan at the time. According to the Sri Lankan sources, King built 84,000 Buddhist stupa in all over the India at the time. Although this has some exaggerated, but we assume that King Asoka has built several Buddhist stupa in India. According to the historical and archaeological source, Dhammarajika stupa now in Takshila in Pakistan, built by King Asoka. Ma'am. Dhammarajika stupa in Takshila. Buddhism under the Indo-Greek and Indo-Greco-Bactrian kingdom. The Greco-Bactrian king Demetrius ring 200 to 108 BC invaded the subcontinent, established an Indo-Greek kingdom that was the last Indo-Greek invaded the subcontinent, established an Indo-Greek kingdom that was to last in Pakistan, Northwest South Asia, including present Pakistan, until the end of the 10th century CE. Buddhism flourished under the Indo-Greek and Greco-Bactrian kings. One of the most famous Indo-Greek king is Menander, 160 to 135 BCE. He may have continued to Buddhism and is presented in the Mahayana tradition is called Greco-Buddhism. Cultural exchange exchange and Buddhist monk at the time. Several influential Greek Buddhist monks are recorded in this time. Mahadharma Rakkhita, literary translated as a great teacher, Prasaur of the Dhamma, was Greek, Yona, Buddhist head monk. And other side, direct culture exchange is also suggested by dialogue called the debate of King Milinda. In Sri Lankan tradition, King Milindu well described in the Milinda Panya. It is in Pali and Sinhala also, a very famous book in Sri Lanka. Discussion between King Milinda and Nagasena. Buddhist at this time, Buddhist relationship with Sri Lanka and Greco kings, according to the Mahavansa, invitation of Sri Lankan King Dutugamon, 30,000 of Buddhist monks came from the Greek city of Alexandria to Sri Lanka for the dedication of the great stupa. This is very important thing, which is Ruwanweli now in Anuradhapura during the rule 160 to 135 BCE of King Minenda. King Tutugamonu, 161 to 136 BCE. Very important thing is King Minenda and King Tutugamonu reigned in same time. Coins, some coins of Indo-Greek kings discovered in Sri Lankan soil. This is very important thing. We have found cave inscription in Bowategal in southern province mentioned Kabojika Mahapugian. It means the trade guilds who came from Cambodia, present Kabul, who made stone cave and offered to the Sangha, which is assumed that traders from Cambodia engaged trading in Sri Lanka at the time. This inscription belongs to the 1st century CE, Indo-Greek period. And other thing is several Indo-Greek kings coins reported from Sri Lanka, such as dram coins of Minenda, King Harmonius, and Indo-Scythian king Aziz. This is very, very important things, other things. And we can assume that the connectionship with Sri Lanka and Indo-Greek kings and kingdom at the time. Some important changes in Buddhism and Buddhist culture under the Indo-Greek rules. During this period, Indo-Greek is Buddhist and Hindu culture mixed with Greek. In Mayuran and Sunga art, Buddha represent as an iconic themes, but scholars argued that first anthropomorphic representation of Buddha, we call iconic of Buddha, are found in the lands ruled by the Indo-Greek in a realistic system known as Greco-Buddhist. Many of the stylistic elements in the representation of the Buddha point to Greek influence. The Greco-Roman toga like wavy robes, covering both shoulders. More exactly, it lighter version, the Greek imitation, the contrapposto stance of the upgrade figures, like that. That there are many arguments about the emergence of Buddha statues in India. Some scholars argue that the first Buddha statues beginning in Mathura with Hindu culture influence. Some scholars argue that first Buddha statues beginning in Gandhara region in Greek, in the period of Greek ruler, or in Kushan period. This is some. There are so many arguments with scholars. Measured quality of the face, all rendered with strong artist realism, is very important. A large quantity of sculptures combining Buddhist and purely Hellenistic style and iconography were excavated at the Gandharian site. This art tradition was established in not only India but also Central Asia at the time. And this is very important. Buddhism under the Kushana Emperor. You can see some Kushana emperor who ruled at the time. Most Kushana kings were Buddhist, and they helped to develop the Buddhism. This period, scholars mentioned that the golden age of Buddhism in Pakistan or in Gandhara. The Kushan Emperor was found by the invading Yuezhi nomads in the 1st century BCE. It eventually encompassed much of northern India, Pakistan, and Afghanistan. The Kushanas adapted element of the Hellenistic culture of Bactria and the Indo-Greeks. During Kushan rule, Gandharian Buddhism was at the highest of its influence, and a significant number of Buddhist centers were built or renovated at the time. The Buddhist art of Kushan Gandhara was synthetic of Greek, Roman, Iranian, and Indian elements. The Gandharian Buddhist texts also date from this period, written in Gandhar Prakrit. They are the oldest Buddhist manuscripts yet discovered 1st century CE, according to Richard Solomon. Most of them belongs to the Dhammagupta school. Gandharian Buddhism, Emperor Kanishka was very famous, and he's very famous Buddhist king at the time. In this time, Kushan royal support and the opening of the trade route allowed Gandharian Buddhism to spread along Silk Route to Central Asia, the Time Basin, and thus to China. Kanishka's reputation in Gandharian Buddhist tradition regarded with most important, as he not only believed in Buddhism but also encouraged its teaching and supported to the spread not only India, also other countries in Central Asia, Far East countries like China. In this time, very important event is fourth Dhamma Council. This is Mahayana Dhamma Council. After the Dhamma Council, great Mahayana, some Mahayana Buddhist monk like Asogos, Vasubandhu, Asanka, Vasumitra, supported and seated in this Dhamma Council. As fruit of this Dhamma Council, language of Mahayana Buddhism converted Kharos to Sanskrit. This is very important things, incident at the time called Kanishka Stupa. Buddhism spread center and Central and Far East countries. The Kushan emperors unification of most of this area and their supported to Buddhism allowed to easily spread along the trade routes of the region throughout Central Asia during the 1st century CE under the Kushanas. Buddhism would eventually reach modern day Pakistan, Kashmir, Afghanistan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, and Tajikistan. As Buddhism reached many of these lands Buddhists began to translate and produce texts in the local language such as Khotanese, a Middle Iranian language, Sogdian, Uyghur, Tangut, Tibetan, and Chinese. Buddhism spread centrally Gandhara to Central Asia and China through the Silk Route, land Silk Route, which is very important to spread Buddhism. This route is spread from Patliputra, Mathura to Takshila, Gandhar, and across the Khyber Pass to other regions like Central Asia, Far East countries. It is very helpful to spread Buddhism. Development of the Gandhar Buddhism art and architecture. Kanishka built several stupa and Buddhist monasteries at the time. Both Gandhar and Mathura art school developed in this time. Gandhar school developed in influence with Indo-Greek culture and Mathura school developed with traditional Hindu culture. Number of Gandharian style Buddha and Bodhisattva and other related images have been found from various Buddhist places in Pakistan belongs this period. Some of them are now in Museum of Pakistan, India, and Europe. My earlier colleagues describes a number of Gandhar style Buddhist and Bodhisattva statues. A number of Buddha and Bodhisattva statues, Maitreya, Avalokiteshvara, Manjushri, Siddhartha, were made in this period and discovered from various Buddhist sites in Pakistan. Assume that various types of Buddhist artifacts, Buddha images, Bodhisattva images, and other related things shows that how Buddhism is spread in Pakistan in the past. Buddhist archaeological site in Pakistan, according to the source, there are 50 archaeological sites spread within around 30 kilometers around Takshila, which is belong to 200 BC to 600 AD. And
Chandra,
yes.
I would request you to please expedite. Thank you so much.
Okay. And you can see some Gandharian style Buddhism, and then Greek gods, Apollo is very similar, and Bhimran relicas, some scholars mention which is belongs to Indo-Greek type. Some mention this is belongs to the Kusana period. Standing Buddha image, Gandhar style. Some seated Buddha image, Gandhar style. Bodhisattva images, some Bodhisattva images, very famous. Fasting Buddha in realistic type. And some important Buddhist monuments in Pakistan, and archaeological site. Most of these monuments show our earlier colleagues. And the Buddhist coinage is very important. Kanishka coins mention Buddha is statues and mention in Greek letter Boddo, and also Maitri Buddha and Bodhisattva also mentioned in these coins. This is very important. Buddhist coinage of King Kanishka and later Kushanas. The late Buddhism in Pakistan, after the fall of Kushan, a small kingdom ruled the Gandharian region, and later the Hunas conquered the area. Gandharian Buddhism continued to thrive in cities like Balkh, Bactria, as remarked by Shengshin, who visited the ring in the 10th century. Shengshin noted that there were over 100 Buddhist monasteries in the city, including the Nava Vihara as well. Many stupas and monks after the end of the Hepatite Emperor, Gandharian Buddhism declined in Gandhar proper in the Peshawar basin. However, it continued to thrive in adjacent area like the Swat Valley of Pakistan, Gilgit, Kashmir, and Afghanistan. Buddhism excited in Pakistan until the end of the Gupta and subsequent Pala dynasty, but due to occasional Arabic invaders AD by the 12th century, Buddhism in the area was in decline. This is my brief introduction. Thank you very much, and good evening, all of participants.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sanrath, and sorry we couldn't give you much time and we had to interrupt you. Thank you so much for your in-depth analysis on that. Note, Umar Tarar, the executive director of banks. I really want Nambi to say a few words, but due to his further commitments, he had to leave the meeting. So, Dr. Tarar, please, would you like to say a few words?
Ji, sure, I would like to. Can you see me now?
Yes.
Yes, sir, you are visible.
Yes.
All right, thank you very much. I, in fact, owe you lots of thanks for your patient listening and active participation. I will start by thanking the respected members of ICOM Pakistan, Muhammad Akhtar Javed, Dr. Iksana David and Iza Khan, for actually making this event happen. Cubit Turkey, Madam Sadat Guner, Ali Akan, Akul, Nafise, Jamile, Dennis are highly acknowledged for actually supporting with the logistic arrangements. The members of ICOM Bangladesh and ICOM Sri Lanka are also highly acknowledged. Professor Dr. Gala, our esteemed speakers, Sufi Saab, Zubaida, Hamid, and Senerat Saab are warmly acknowledged for their, very thoughtful contribution. I think we have become wiser and kind of richer in our knowledge and understanding of Buddhism in Gandhara. And I think all of you, including myself, will actually like to go back to it and actually listen it all once again. ICOM International, especially Terry, the Vice President of ICOM International, is deeply acknowledged for his participation in the webinar. And finally, I would say a bundle of thanks to the C2D team, especially Iza Khan, who is also my beloved wife, for actually hosting the webinar and making it all really happen. Right? Can you, Iza? Iza, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I was just having a technical hiccup. Thank you so much. Are you done?
Yes, if you have a few moments beyond the thank yous, if I have like just few minutes to respond to some of the issues that have come out of the webinar.
Ji, sir.
Thank you very much. I would just kind of like to respond to the very important initiative, that's a learning for us in Pakistan who's working for the cultural heritage preservation, to know about the scope of public archaeology that we see here, that we see in Bangladesh. And Sufi Saab, I was really inspired, really, and I must confess that we do not have a comparable institution in Pakistan for promoting public archaeology. And I think it's Hamid, Dr. Hamid would agree with me that we really need to kind of work beyond the monuments to actually create replicas so people could actually understand and appreciate what that heritage is all about. So I think this is really, one of the very important sort of a piece of my personal learning, I must confess. Now, I would also like to take this opportunity to respond to the issues of the post-colonial archaeology that Professor Gala raised in his introductory remarks. I think those of us in the third world are really, kind of almost like slave to the colonial archaeology. And if you allow me to say, for instance, the most revered archaeologist that one could think of in South Asia, in Pakistan, is Sir John Marshall. I have a personal reverence, to be honest, for the man for a variety of reasons. Having said that, his Marshall Code, as is called, the code that actually became the basis for the Antiquity Acts, which were later adopted in Pakistan, is actually, it was a product of its own time. But because of this colonial hangover that in India and Pakistan and rest of us that we suffer in the third world, is actually not allowing us to break free of those, sort of straight jackets that had been imposed by the colonialism. Now, just to give you one example, which is relevant here, according to the Marshall Code of the early 20th century.
Sorry, Mr. Tarar. Please lift your screen a little. We saw your half of your face. Please.
I see.
Yes.
Sorry, actually, I can't see myself for some odd reason.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for pointing it out. So what we're saying is, okay, this this particular martial code makes a sharp distinction between living and the dead monuments. Now, the living monuments were those very rationally defined as those monuments where the communities of the faith have actually survived, like the Hindu monuments and the Sikh monuments and the Muslim monuments were categorized as living monuments. Now, those monuments in India whose communities of faith had not survived, which meant Buddhism, right? Buddhists were declared as dead monuments. Now, by virtue of that, the living monuments were allowed conservation and restoration, whereas the dead monuments were not allowed conservation and restoration. Now, lo and behold, as we speak in 2021, we still hold on to that, classification, and actually don't really even touch our, our monuments and monasteries that we so found abundantly in Pakistan. We let them ruin because of the martial code. So in any case, so all I'm saying is, Professor Gala, I would really thank you for actually raising this post-colonial question, which lies at the heart of our, initiative in Pakistan, that we would like to go back to these questions which deeply affect our life. Likewise, the question of replica that you so wisely referred to, the question of replica is a blasphemy in the world of Pakistani archaeology, because the Archaeology Antiquity Act in all of KP and Pakistan, Punjab, actually forbids making the replica. Now, those are the custodians of a living tradition that has been wiped out and actually came off again because of the archaeological excavation in Tixla. Even today, not in Sabat or in Peshawar, the sculptor of Buddhist tradition belong to Tixla. As Dr. Hamid was saying, these Bamala, when Bamala was restored, it was actually restored. Those broken pieces of sculpture were restored, almost made afresh again by the artisans of Tixla. And but officially, because of the antiquity law, the practice of making replica is a crime. Now, it is a crime which is endorsed by the state when they want to do their own museum repair and conservation. But it is a crime when those artisans want to practice it as a profession. As a cultural practice, they can't own it, despite the fact that these sculptors of Tixla have been given the highest state recognition, the pride of performance for their mastering the art of Gandhara sculpture. I have those, certificates which they throw at my face. Because of the law, they can't claim it. They all work for what? Smuggling. This illegal trafficking that you actually refer to is because of these laws, not because otherwise. So I think even this trafficking and this, the whole heritage debate has to be addressed from a post-colonial standpoint, and where we all, I'm sure, can contribute massively. So these are my concluding remarks, and I again thank all of you for being part of this debate, and I hope there will be steps taken forward from this conversation, and it will not just be another YouTube video. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Saab, for the vote of thanks, as well as for the in-depth analysis of what we have been doing here with regards to the law and antiquity. I would conclude our session of Group 1, Part 1 of International Virtual Conference on Museums, for which Azerbaijan, Bangladesh, Nepal, Sri Lanka, I think I've mentioned them all, and Sri Lanka, they have been as our partner, and QMIT Turkey has been our technical partner. I would request Madam Saadat Guner if she would like to say a few words at the end of the program. Over to you, ma'am. Thank you so much for joining in. We'll see you in the next session in mid of June. Madam Saadat Gunair.
Cordially, I would like to thank all participants from the other countries for kind participation. Thank you.
And if Javed Saab is here, the mastermind of this, the whole IVCoM 2021 and 2020, sir, are you here? We would like to say thank you. And I would personally like to thank my children and my husband as well for sparing me.
Really, I just want to thank you. You see, we cannot say anything, or I cannot say personally. I cannot say anything about the presentation of so high-level learned speakers. And definitely, the group one as a whole has done a very good job, and their all presentations were very good, very informative, and I'm really thankful to them as a organizer from our side, from on ICOM Pakistan side. Thank you very much. As I said, that election is in process, so I'm also in process to hand over the things to my next successors. So definitely the next group 2, group 3, group 4, they don't have to worry because the things will go in a safe hand, inshallah. So thank you very much indeed, and that's all I can say. And thank you especially to Professor Gala, who has been my training professional in the field of museology, and particularly intangible area. So I think we must regularly hold some seminars in between these conferences. So and we must call speaker like the Professor Gala. Terry MB was here, so we can request Terry MB also. So their lectures are really inspiring for the new generation, students of archaeology, students of museology, and all these things. So we will think about that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. It's time to say goodbye. See you all in middle of the June in group 2 sessions. Thank you for joining in.
Okay,
All
thank
the
you.
speakers, all partners.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.